Thank you for coming and see our case. And today we show our case that we implementation when we faced the chaotic scenario of data in the one of largest companies of Brazil, and how we change the scenario and how we make the data using by business. Now, again, first, who is Bradesco? Bradesco it is the second largest banking in Brazil, had 81 years of existence, and one big numbers, the Bradesco had like 70 millions of customers. The number is the similar of population lives in countries like Italy, UK, or France. Another important number, Bradesco have in assets 381 billion of dollars. These assets is similar GPD of countries like Hong Kong or Denmark, okay? And in credit portfolio of Bradesco, Bradesco have debit cards and credit cards, retail cards, and in the few years, the cards business in Bradesco growing in acquisitions of another companies, another financial companies, okay? That's because of this, in Bradesco, in credit business, in credit card business, we have a lot of silos, and that silos have one data ecosystem, your versions of true of the information and interpretation of the numbers, okay? So imagine one meeting of these peoples in each or one silos. The discuss is what's the right number, what's the better number, and because of this, we make our primary goal, it's create a single version of true. Rodrigo?
So, as Marcos said, have you ever walked into a meeting at your company to address a problem? For example, sales are down 10%, but as soon as the meeting starts, someone brings another data that says that actually the sales are up 5%. So now you are stuck there. You cannot move forward. You cannot make a decision because you are not sure which version of the number is the correct one. And everybody starts to discussing which number is the correct one instead of discussing actions to take to improve the sales. So has anything similar to this ever happened to you? Well, it used to happen to us quite often, actually, 3 years ago, and not anymore. And I will tell you about what we did to solve this problem today, but first, let me tell you how did we get into that situation, okay? So, as Marcus said, credit card information is complex. A customer has many cards in their wallets, and each card has lots of transactions. So we grew over the years by acquisitions of other businesses, and we work with lots of different kinds of cards. We work with credit cards, debit cards, prepaid cards, retail store cards, and each one of them and each one of those businesses that we acquired had their own unique systems for the cards, and we turned off some of them, but at some point we got more than 10 different systems for our cards. Today we have around 3 or 4, but it's still really complex, and we have lots of informations. So all this together create a really chaotic environment. So imagine for a moment that you are a chef at a restaurant and you need to make a hamburger. but you go to the kitchen and it's a mess. You cannot find the ingredients because they are not labeled, or even worse, they are mislabeled. And you go get the meat, and it's not ready to use. You need to prepare it yourself. And you need to use a knife, for example, but it's not on the same place that you left it. So you are able to make this hamburger, but it costs you so much. You waste so much time in the process. So imagine this chef is actually a data analyst, and the ingredients are the data. And this hamburger that you are making is, for example, a dashboard to keep track of some key information in your business. So this was our scenario back then, and it was so hard because it was really hard to find the information that you need. It was hard to understand the information. And people were able to create something from that, but it was so hard to create something valuable with an easy process. It took so long. We wasted so much time. So we had lots of operational inefficiency in our data environment. We had poor governance because we had so many data silos. Each one of those systems, we extract information from and we put it then in a data silos. And those silos, they were not really well integrated with each other. So it was really hard, for example, to get all the information from those cards for a single customer. It was really hard to know, for example, how many good cards for use a customer had on average. So it was really hard, especially for new users. So I say that we were able to make that hamburger, but we needed a really skilled chef that knew that mess to create something. So it was really hard to work with this because we had multiple truths, and we had the kind of problem that I told you about at the beginning. We had different versions of the same number, and people were not making up data. They were extracting it from somewhere in our environment, but two different areas could get different numbers, and that was a major problem for us. Okay, so what was our idea? We wanted to put everything on the same place and create some standards and review some of our business rules to create information. And we wanted to create this unified view of our customers so we would be able to better serve them, to create better experiences for our customers using their data. And we wanted the data to be safe. We wanted it to be trusted, something that we could rely on. And we also wanted it to be user-friendly because we don't have lots of data engineers and data scientists. As you know, these people are hard to hire. It's hard to train them, and it's hard to keep them in your organization. But what we had was hundreds of business analysts that didn't know much about data, but they are specialists in their fields. So we thought that by creating a user-friendly data environment, we could leverage the use of data in our organization, and we could foster a data-driven or data-informed culture. So this was the idea, but it was not easy to implement.
Yes, we have three big challenges on the process. The first is lack of trust. Imagine you make the change, the culture of the information. It's not true. It's not confiable. Now, the second is the governance. Remember, the Bradesco it's an older bank, a large bank, and have a lot of legacy process and a lot of process. How I change the governance to users can access and use the data. And finally, review of old concepts. Remember, we have a lot of silos, and each one have the proper version of true. And I think this challenger is the most difficult because we bring the people to discuss what's the better interpretation, the number for the company, for you making the better decision. But the key of the success in this case and all the challengers is the people.
Okay, so, well, people don't like change. So when we changed the solution and we changed where did they need to get the information from, it was really hard at first. But the funny thing is we solved all the problems mainly because of the work of people. Not only our team, we got an engaged team that wanted to make a change, make things different, but what really worked well for us was approaching other business areas and talking to them. And when they started to think that they were on the same boat with us, they didn't want that boat to sink. They wanted to solve the problems. They wanted to dive deep together with us in the information to find that single version of truth. So this worked really well for us and helped us solve, because some people were so used to some big numbers at our company that they used for years and years, that when we showed them a different number, no one believed us at first, but we worked together with them, we collaborated with them, and they started to believe. And from that moment on, it was really easier to do our job. So going into some specifics of what we did here, as I said before, we had many data silos that came from those different systems, and we were using different solutions, some legacy tools that we had, and there were lots of manual processes and all the problems that comes with manual processes. So what we did was we put everything on Teradata. We created our gold layer of information in Teradata, and all of our raw data comes from Hive. And we put the business rules, we applied the business rules in Teradata, and it integrates well with all the other tools that we wanted to use and all the other tools that we are used to, because we have hundreds of analysts, for example, that used SAS for decades at Bradesco, and we wanted something that could really work with all these other platforms. And we created some star schemas. And why did we choose a star schema? We wanted it to be easier for business intelligence people to summarize our data. And as I said before, we wanted to make it easy to understand. So we have lots of people that work with our data today. They are not experts in data. And a star schema is easier to understand. And for example, we have many different kinds of cards, but we have only one customer table. And if you have many cards with Bradesco, in this table you are only one register, and we have all the key information about that customer. Of course, if you want to do something more specific, you need to use other tables that go into details about some stuff, but if you just want to see how many cars this customer has, it's simple to get this information. And another good point here is everything is automated, so we greatly reduced the problems that we had with manual processes. And also, we have this big business intelligence platform on Power BI today, and all the key information about our business is there. So our executives, they see those dashboards and they make decisions on them. And
reduce the time to marketing when the executive making a decision and the implementation, the action for commercial action, marketing action, for example. The business area can see Power BI and see, I take this cluster and make a specific marketing action, and in a few hours or days, they can change the idea in a Salesforce marketing action, for example. This reduces a lot of our time to marketing to actions, commercials, for example.
Yeah, and as I said, we get all the raw data from our bronze layer from Hadoop, and we apply the business rules in Teradata. We use constraints. We use all the tools that we have here to ensure that the data is safe to use. And we chose Teradata because it worked well, it integrated well with all this, and we use Teradata for years and years at Bradesco, and it's a platform that we can trust and that has all these tools of data governance that we really needed for this. So what we have now, we organized our kitchen. We have a real clean and organized kitchen. It's much better to work. We don't need a really skilled chef anymore to make that same hamburger. And we have consistency now. We can make the same kind of burger with the same ingredients every day. And it's so much easier for new users. It's easy to find what you need, to understand the information. People trust. We more than tripled our user base after we did this, because mainly because of 2 points. People trust this information. As I said, it goes to the Power BI that our executives use. And it's easy to understand. It's well documented. So people really like to, well, some people don't like because they don't like to dive deep in the data. But people that are used to our database, they really like when they go to our department and find this. We have this single truth, so we don't have that problem anymore, not on the same level, talking different numbers. We have a big number that everyone knows. And it was not our intention 3 years ago, of course, but what we did here made it easier to implement AI solutions, because we saw this morning, earlier, a survey that Teradata did that says that 4 in every 10 executives don't trust their data, the output of AI, using their own data. And I believe that the reason is because when they look to their data, they see that messy kitchen. And they don't trust a machine to extract something valuable from that. So as we heard here today and yesterday, AI is not magic. It's just a software. So it will not create a great insight for your business if you throw lots of data on that. If you just get all the disorganized data and apply some AI solution, it won't help you. You need to make it easier. You need to...
If you make a question for AI today, a few weeks ago we implemented the copilots on our ambient, and we can trust in the answer of the copilot, because the answer come about the numbers we review and the concepts of all the areas know. and the people now trust the data and the answer of the AI. This is, because of this, we put the easier to implement AI. Now today, it's implemented.
Yeah, and we had some key benefits here. We greatly reduced the time to market of some models and segmentations using A2O and putting it to work on Salesforce. We cut by half the time to process large volumes of data, which is very nice for us. And we greatly reduced the incidents, the issues that we had, mainly because of timing, the wrong timing to make an offer for our customer, because of all of those manual processes that we had. And we brought here some financial benefits, but they are just examples, because it's so hard to track all the benefits that we had with this. As I said, we more than tripled our database. And where were these people getting information from before? We don't know. And maybe, maybe they were making decisions from their stomach, not using data. And we are all here in a tech company that works with data. And we believe that making a decision, an informed decision based on data is so much better. So you can imagine the real impact that this project did at our organization. So to wrap this all up, I would like you to leave today with a message. We all want to use the shiny stuff. We are all here to hear about generative AI and what it can do for us. But we should not overlook the power of a good process and an organized data environment. Okay, because if we have, it's a message that we heard here, if we have trusted data, we will have trusted AI. Okay, so if you have any kind of mess in your kitchen, back home, I strongly suggest you that you make this when you go home, clean your kitchen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. There is a microphone that is going around. Kimberly at the back, if you have a question, please put your hand up. And just while you're contemplating your very insightful questions, I did have a question for you guys, because I find when people are putting together their new clean kitchen, there's always kind of this back thing in the back of their mind that they're sitting going, I wonder what I could have done differently. So what would you do differently if you had a chance?
Well, if we started this again, we would approach the other teams, the business areas, sooner, because it was really the key to success here. If we had worked together with them since the beginning of the project, we would achieve success much earlier.
Yeah, I think the differential of this project is all the areas contribute in our project, and we can change the culture to make the decision using numbers. I think that's the most consequence we can implement here in Bradesco credit cards department.
Yeah, I think there's always a challenge with getting the business involved. So yes, we have a question over in the back.
Hi, I'm Gary. My question is, normally in a bank you have a system of record which has account files, credit card numbers, and there are people that own those cards. How did you deal with customer? Do you have a numeric value for customer that's standardized across your data warehouse? How did you approach defining customer in your data environment?
Now the ecosystem, the most benefits for customer, it's now we can make a hyper personalization, because the statistical model is connected with Salesforce and the reports on Power BI, and because of this, the ecosystem can contribute to make a personalization approach for the customer. I think that's it. The customer can feel more good with the company, for example.
Was there complexities in trying to understand that, say, Daniel Tien in this system was also Daniel Tien in this system?
Yes. And a few years ago, we have a lot of Daniels in all silos.
You could never have enough.
Yeah. And I speak with Daniel of a different approach, and not in a singular approach. Imagine the confusion in the head of the customers.
And the technical journey, because I understand the business journey of trying to get a single Daniel so you have a single message.
Yeah.
The technical journey, was the technical journey equally as difficult to try to figure out that this is the same Daniel?
Well, some cards have their specifics, so we wanted to, but some information are the same. For example, in a transaction, all the transactions have when it happened, what is the amount spent, and some other information, if it was a local transaction or mobile remote transaction. So we put all the same information. We created standards from the different cards, and the information that is specific, we put separately to not confuse the users.
Yeah.
But it was really hard to do because we got real different information, real different data extractions from those systems.
It's a question that comes up regularly, and I find that depending on where you live, like historically I'm Australian, so in Australia when you open any kind of bank account you have to do a 100-point check, which means that you had to present certain IDs and they record those IDs, which means that they can match those IDs. America's a little bit more liberal in how they like to open up bank accounts, and they will let anyone open up a bank account anywhere, pretty much. They don't have the same way of matching. Do you have that kind of matching capability in Brazil?
In Brazil, you say about the single ID.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Brazil we have CPF. It's like a number, a singular number for people. And now it's possible. We can track in a single CPF for the customers and put around the CPF with a star schema a lot of things about the CPF. What they prefer a traveler, for example, or prefer that card or use debits. You can tracking all around the single CPF or the single customer.
Yeah, but some information are different. For example, you have the same ID of the customer, but the name may change, right, from different platforms. So we had to choose one name for each customer to put on this table. And if you want, for example, to track information about your customer using his name, you need to go to a different table if you don't find on the main table.
Gotcha. Yep. Any other questions?
Yeah, so your presentation was very good, very logical steps.
Thank you.
And it seems that you've cleaned up your kitchen, but what are you going to do next? What's next on the horizon? And also part of that, what part of the project did you have to push off and not complete that's still waiting to be done?
Okay, so, well, this is something that you really need to put an effort to keep. It's really easy to make your kitchen messy again because we will acquire other business sooner or later, and people are creating more information each day, so we need to put an effort to keep that kitchen clean. And moving forward, we recently moved to Teradata Cloud. So we are exploring the possibilities that we have now with the better integrations between our platforms and the new features. So as Marcos said, we are starting to use AI to make it even easier for our users to extract value from our data. Right now we are using it on Power BI with Copilot, but we plan to use something for the data analysts to extract some information using all those tables. And we also want to create something for our customers using Gen AI, but we are just experimenting with it right now.
Congratulations for the presentation.
Okay.
Do you have suggestions to do the change management?
To what, sorry?
The change, the process of, in Portuguese, gestão da mudança, for the areas, from the beginning of the process until the end of all the process, in terms of dealing with other areas, talking to the business areas. Do you have something to share with us?
For a long time, the project, we make the project, and in Brazil, we call you flying in an airplane, changing the wings. Because the unique, I think the change, the people can believe to change after then see the results. I think in the first meeting, the people come in and discuss what's the better for our customer and not discuss what's the better number. I think this start the change in I can just prove making in parallel. Making the project in parallel a lot of the other process of the legacy.
Yeah, I think it's certainly whenever I've seen big changes, there's kind of that initial change management, but then there's the ongoing change management, which is kind of now we're making, I don't know, rather than hamburgers, we're going to start making sushi as well. How do we make sure the kitchen keeps kind of clean? Yeah. Did you guys, as a part of the project, does your governance model, do you feel like it is going to address that kind of ongoing change?
Yes, the governance now, it's better. I think it's not, it's better in bureaucracy because now we have a unique ecosystem data, and that's changing not only in credit in our area, in credit cards department, but in all the bank. It's more lucky than change we provoked como que é? De propósito.
Purpose.
In propose, yes.
Yeah, I tend to find with all governance models, and banks are certainly more at the end of the very structured, but have you found that as your users are coming in and you've created this single environment and there is this governance model around it, are you finding that there's still the ability to innovate and to make the next sushi or to make the next whatever the meal is of choice?
Yeah, I think the users now see all the process, the governance, they use the data more friendly, and the user can feel a part of the project. I think this is the key of the success of the project.
Yeah, and I think something that is worth sharing is that when we automated everything, we got rid of many manual processes that happen outside our area. And so we enabled the users to do something else with their time, and they did, but some of them created new manual process using this data environment. So what we are doing now, moving forward, is helping them to automate this new process so they can use their time to do something creative and innovate inside their areas.
Yeah, I certainly know that back when I was more sort of in a DBA kind of role, I wanted to lock it down and wanted to make sure that people were using the tool appropriately. And when I stopped talking about my users as people who were consuming resources and started talking about my users as people who were innovating for the business, that mindset changed in how I then would allow them to use that resource. So it sounds like you're kind of moving towards the same place, which is, you know, sometimes it's just language really, isn't it? Any other questions from the audience? No? Well, please thank Marcos and Rodrigo one more time. Thank you.